Hi, everyone. My name is Quentin Hernandez. I use he, him, his pronouns. And I am a student at Ithaca College. I'm a senior television radio major. And I decided to bring this panel to ITHACON this year to, add some LGBTQ representation to our convention this year. And luckily, I guess, be lucky enough to bring some West Coasters given this virtual ability. So I will pass it over to Mike to introduce.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Michael Derry. I'm a graphic artist and illustrator, cartoonist. I wrote this comic for like 14 years. It was in a bunch of gay papers and stuff. It follows the exploits of a gay guy named Troy and his extended chosen family. And there's, sex, love, politics, religion, and killer abs. That's the tagline. And this is my new stuff. I did this. I kind of do these pop art stuff, mostly for Swish Embassy. It's a website, and they sell t-shirts and pop stuff. And I just put this together. It's my new book. Nice. It's available on Amazon.com. So that's me. I really don't have much else to say about that.
I guess I'll go. Hi, everyone. My name is Noah Pantano. I am a senior communication management and design major here at Ithaca College. Cosplayer. Is this what
Excellent.
Playwright, student, surviving, breathing. I'm getting by. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to talk about all the stuff.
Excellent.
And I'm Shay Beagle. I'm an illustrator, comic artist. I work on Moonstruck through Image Comics. I'm the illustrator. I don't know if I said that. I've been doing that for a couple years now, and we're working on our last book in the series currently. So,
that's awesome.
It's lesbian werewolf romance adventure. So there's a lot of fun and cuteness in it. I enjoyed drawing it very much.
I love that.
Alrighty, so I'll get into my first question, which is, what is the relationship you hold with your comics in terms of like your identity?
Well, for me, it was kind of very close because Troy is pretty much based on me. So we have a very close connection. And a lot of my friends, like a lot of the characters are based on, friends of mine. Everything that basically happens in the comic is a bastardization of the truth, just done to make it a little more funny, I guess. So yeah, my stuff is very personal.
I'm kind of the same way. Like I have a tendency to kind of just draw what I know, and like a lot of the like character like ideas that I come up with are based on like my friend group, which is very gay, very trans. So it's like it's a very personal attachment between like the creator and the work, I think.
Yeah.
Has that ever gotten either of you in like any hot water with your friend groups at all, or
no?
No, okay.
More often than not, I get friends telling me like, "Oh, put me in there, please."
Or a story idea, or hey, this happened. You should use that, and you're like, no. Or sometimes I'm like, yes, I will. Thank you. I'm like, I was at a conference a few years ago with a friend of mine, and somebody introduced me, and he introduced himself as Rigo, which I thought was hilarious because that's the character's name. And he's kind of based on him, and it's just like, oh, okay. I mean, that felt really good because it's like he knows that's him, and he's not mad about it. So that, I mean, I love that. I get to like go through some of my stuff, and like every once in a while, it'll be like kind of like reading a diary almost, where it's like I know exactly what's behind the cartoon. So sometimes like looking at some of my old stuff, it's just sort of like reliving or, just kind of like taking a stroll down memory lane or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. And so for like each of you, what was your call to action to start like creating the art that you do now today?
Take that, or you want me to go?
I didn't actually know that I wanted to do comics until I got into college, and I started messing with that a little bit more. I had teachers that encouraged me and stuff, and I actually started Moonstruck while I was in college through a class that we had where we got paired up with writers that were already in the industry. So the students got to illustrate these little 5-page short stories that the writers provided. We got to work with the writer, and we ended up on my second year of doing this class, me and Grace Ellis, who writes Lumberjanes and a bunch of other stuff. She had the 5-page short story of Moonstruck, and we ended up working so well together on that we, my teacher of that class, who's our editor on the book now, was like, "Hey, do you want to pitch this? Like, do you want to take this and just pitch it around a little bit, make a first issue and see what happens?" And now we're here. So
awesome. Yeah, I was curious because Grace didn't let me know like what was the starting of how you two met each other and like know each other. But okay, now that's so cool that that's how that happened.
Oh, it's very cool. And now I'm kind of set in it. I'm like, wow, I really like doing this and think I'll do this for a while. I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. I started doing comics when I was like a kid, just, drawing stuff. And I would make up, comic strips and draw and write them since, I was a little kid. And then, I went to graphic art school. I majored in illustration. I had no idea what kind of job I was going to get when I got out of school. And when I came to LA, I was doing a lot of acting. And the guy who took my headshot knew some guys who were starting a new gay magazine in LA, and they needed, some artists or whatever. And so he's like, "Yeah, I can give him your name or whatever." So I went and met with them. And they were like, "Well, can you do like a comic strip about like gay guys in West Hollywood?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So I just started writing the comic for them. That magazine lasted about a year and a half or so. It's like whatever. And then after that, I just another friend. I just ran into him on the street, and he's like, "Hey, how's that going with that cartoon?" And I was like, "Oh, the magazine went over." He's like, "Well, we're starting a new magazine, but it's bilingual. It's called Tentaciones. Would you like to do your comic in our magazine?" And I was like, "Sure." And he's like, "Well, can you write a Hispanic character?" And I was like, "Sure." So I just made Rigo Troy's roommate. And I'm like, "Okay, so there you go." And it kind of got really popular from there because Tentaciones was distributed globally. So, it was like really kind of cool because, I was getting like, for the first time ever, getting like letters from people in broken English telling me, how much they loved Troy and how much they could relate to him. And it was like all over the world, and so I was just sort of like, it was really cool, that people who don't even speak English and live in LA get it. Because my stuff is very specific. And sometimes people say like, well, it's too specific, nobody's going to get it. And I think I found that if you make it very, very specific, then the universal themes come through more than if it's just vague. Because then, if it's just, generic this, generic that, doing a generic thing, it doesn't mean anything. So I don't know. I guess having a personal connection to your work makes it better. Was that the question? Did I answer the question?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm the same way. I forget what the question is halfway through talking.
I know. I'm like, oh God, I'm rambling.
Yeah, no, I just remember like reading loosely about each of your start, and Michael, I was wondering because I think I read somewhere that like someone wrote, I think somewhere that Troy started out as a sketch on a bar napkin while you were bartending somewhere. Yeah.
No, and I honestly, I was a bartender for 10 years after I got out of school, just because it's really hard to get a job being an artist. Oh, wow. but so I would just like constantly be like doing little drawings or taking notes on cocktail napkins because it's like it's right there. Just write it down, draw it up. There's your comic. So that's my comic. It's my observations of gay people in LA.
Definitely. And I guess going off of that, I know you're talking about, using specific characters to tell these universal themes, but like in the end, I guess, like, what is the most important message you want someone to take away from your comics?
Love. I don't know, love, family. I think like trying to find your like gay family is like before I came out, what was it called? Damn it. Tales of the City was a miniseries on PBS and that came out in like 94. And that literally was what kind of gave me the permission, I guess, to come out so that I could like find my people that like I belonged with. And I did. And I was so happy that I just had to write about it because like Armistead Maupin like inspired me with his stories and his characters, and I wanted to do the same, but in a different way. Like I'm a visual artist. I'm not just a writer. So I drew a comic strip, and like I said, I came to LA. I wanted to be an actor. They wouldn't let me, so I decided to write a comic strip about a gay guy who couldn't be an actor because he's gay. And honestly, I had a casting director say to me in like, I don't know, 99, 98, something like that. Who do you think you are? You're a teen idol. You need to get yourself a girlfriend. Who do you think you are, Sir Elton John? I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, okay, so I guess I won't be an actor. Because I'm like, I work in a gay bar. I've been out for years. It's just, no way. I can't do it. It's too late.
I always, when I'm creating, I try and come from a place of like, what did I need to see as a kid? Because I work for younger audiences. My work skews younger. I didn't have a lot to relate to as a kid. I guess just like it just boils down to what did I need and what do kids now need? Like just in terms of a story that you don't have to stretch to relate to. Like these characters are for you. And I guess it's that simple for me.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I'm like, I feel the exact same way about stuff. It's like I'm writing and creating stuff that I want to see, like the stuff that's not there. Like, what was that show that just came out on HBO? It's a Sin. I was like, why is it always AIDS? I'm like, why are we always AIDS?
Yeah.
Any like, it's like mainstream anything. You're either, an AIDS victim or you're drag queen, and I love my drag queens, but that's it. There's no, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I think there's a place for like tragedy stories, but we need some happiness. Yeah, we need some happiness.
Like, what was our big romantic movie is like Brokeback Mountain, and he gets killed at the end by a gay basher. I'm like, that's not what I want for the gay romantic movie. I'm like, that's horrible. Anyway, but it's a great movie, but at the same time, it's like it's not the gay love story for all ages. It's about two people who are being tortured by society, and one of them ends up getting killed in the end, and the other one is like forever, crying over him. You know what I'm saying? But I guess that is a love story. I don't know. It's like, but why does it always have to be a tragedy? So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write a comedy where the gay guys are hot and they actually get to have sex.
Yeah, Michael, I personally, as a I'm not a comic artist, but as a playwright, I relate to that in the same exact way, where I think as artists, we're answering that question for ourselves. Like the reason we create art is to fill that gap and that void. Like when I write something, it's like, I want to see this on stage. Nobody's doing this. Why is nobody doing this? Like
exactly.
In that with LGBT representation, it's like exactly. Like I just wrote a whole play. Like my whole part of my thesis about it was I don't want this to be another tragic gay love story. Like,
Ugh.
where the main character, they either break up at the end or they die, and it's one of the two. And like, now before we get too into representation, though, I'm curious, what was yours and Shay's influence, with your art? Like, who was your inspirations to start creating the works that you created?
Well, like when I was
This is
a
always
kid,
a tough question.
I know.
This is always tough.
I'll be like, oh.
I not for me. I know exactly where my influences are. It was Burke Breathitt's Bloom County. It has a lot of inspiration for me, and Batman the Animated Series. I just loved the style of the Batman show. It was very different for its time. It really broke the mold. Well, back in my day, the cartoons were kind of dumb. There wasn't any good animation. You know what I'm saying? Like that show was like the first show that had like a score and it was cinematic. It wasn't, Scooby-Doo, which I love. And that's the kind of animation I do personally. But it's not like rich and full. And so that's why like that when that show came out, I was like, wow, okay, I want to do work like that. I don't want to just do like cute little. There was some maturity to that show, and it was very, very inspirational. It just was, and like I said, Bloom County. I think I have every Bloom County book on that bookshelf over there. I think it's hysterical.
Oh, I never read a lot of comics growing up, it's always so strange now that I'm working in comics. I feel like I don't know much about comics and history in general, but I read a lot of like manga as a kid. That was my introduction to comics, I guess. I didn't really read a lot of the superhero comics and things like that because I just couldn't relate very well to, everything. But I think I started getting into Steven Universe when that came out, and that was a big inspiration for me to create more. Like, wow, like you can make this and have it be on TV, and it was mind-blowing to me. So I feel like I really became inspired by that to try and like take what was just a hobby, like me doodling and making little comics, and actually turn that into a job and like a career path.
Yeah, it's available.
Oh yeah,
it can happen.
It was unknown to me before any of that.
Yeah, I kind of fell into it as well. I'm like, I didn't know. Like even now today, I'm like, what am I going to do next week? I don't know. What am I going to be doing in 10 years? I have no idea. But it always comes back to like being creative, getting your ideas out there, either if it's like I stopped doing the comic strip Troy because of, most of the newspapers are gone now. So like no one was running it. So I'm like, well, I could just do it for, Instagram. But I'm like, it takes a long time to draw one of those and write one of those. So it's just like, I need to make some money, honey. So, it's just taking too much time, but you have to, so I felt like, okay, I have to evolve. I have to start doing some other things. And like, a lot of my, the work that pays the bills is like mostly mainstream. And it's like a lot of my stuff is like, it's for kids or it's, commercial, but like, this is for me, this is like what I like.
And touching back actually on an earlier point, about, I feel like personally, I think in the last 5-10 years or so, we've really seen like a flux in the animation world specifically, like more mature animation and like more mature children's animation. I hate calling it children's animation though, even though it airs on, Cartoon Network, but like stuff like Steven Universe and I'm even thinking like Wolfwalkers and like pieces like that, were just like 5-10 years ago, we'd be lucky to get any kind of like one gay character in the background. And it's kind of like now it's just so upfront and there's like more and more representation being shown. There's still problems with the representation. I think animation's doing a lot better than some other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I think you look at like, like what they're doing on like the DC animated stuff. There's gay content, there is it's everything. And then you look at the movies and they're like, they still can't get, like, they still want to shoot Bruce's parents over and over and over again. It's like, I need to see those pearls drop in slow motion. But it's like, there's absolutely other things, and we want to see other things in the movies, and not just, I'm like, yeah, we want to be represented in mainstream, and not just, like you said, as like a victim or someone in the background, or like the joke. Like, the joke isn't, and he's gay, because it's like, okay, that's not a joke.
No.
Or that's not anything anymore, I guess. Like, what are we doing, guys?
Michael, what do you think is causing the gap between your macho man straight superhero movies and that animation? And because I feel like, now that you're mentioning it, like, there is a big gap between the two. What you're seeing in comics and what you're seeing on screen and what you're seeing on tele, like, there's a whole trifecta going on right now.
I think it's because of money. That's why you're not seeing it on screen, because movies cost a lot more, and studios are like, well, gay content is controversial, we can't have that, because you have, I mean, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we live in a society where just putting a gay character on screen is cause for people to lose their shit. Like Star Trek Discovery, I think, is a perfect example of this. Star Trek has been around for a bazillion years. They have, like, aliens that kind of have sex with the same sex, but never a main character. It's always an allegory. Well, now we have, like, the gayest cast I have ever seen on any show, let alone a genre show. And people either, if they don't like it, they hate it. And I think they hate it because it's not just that the lead is a Black woman. It's that she's a Black woman who acts and feels like a Black woman. She's not just Kirk in blackface drag. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why we don't see as much representation in big budget stuff, because people are bigots and they have money. And wow, that sounded harsh, but yeah, I think that is why.
Star Trek's actually an interesting case, though, because Star Trek has always been ahead in a lot of ways, with its representation on screen. Because they were based, if I remember correctly, they were like the first show to have a really actually diverse cast on the screen, and like it's been their like motto and focus for that entire show since the beginning. And I know they've had to change episodes because of the studio, but like when I'm aware, like New Generation was supposed to have more gay episodes, and they had to cut it back or change things, and
because of the network or the studio, it's always the guy with the money that says no to the gay stuff. And on Star Trek now, I think it's interesting because, like I said, the writers aren't all white, straight male, and I think that shows. And that's what, like, when I read comments, and I don't know, I'm kind of picking up on like I said, they're angry because it's not that the representation, like people are angry about it because it's not a token, it's a real person, and they don't like that. You know what I'm saying? I think that is the crux. It's like, as long as we are acting like gays should act in entertainment, then it's fine. But as soon as we start acting like our authentic selves, it's a problem. Anyway, I'll pick that up later.
Wait, it's easier to swallow in a lot of ways for people who aren't who aren't in the LGBT scene and have those biases and whatnot, that they aren't, like, it's easier to just be like, oh, they're not human, they're not like us, like, it's fine, they're this.
Yeah, they're funny, we can laugh at them, they're for entertainment.
It's you can say it about really any minority or discriminalized group, like, as long as you fit into that box of what is okay and is not okay, then it's fine. And as soon as you step out of that is when the discrimination.
Right. Well, it's like the other day I wore this T-shirt to the grocery store. I just, whatever. And even like in LA, I'm like, oh, every once in a while I get like, people will just like pull a look, and I'll be like, what the hell? And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. I'm like, why is that woman giving me a dirty look in the produce aisle? Okay, well, Batman in his underwear. Sorry. Delicate sensibilities at the Ralphs.
It's okay. I get dirty looks dressed as Spider-Man, and I don't know why, but
I don't either. That looks great. That's ridiculous.
I'll be walking around Wegmans, and somebody will be like,
I was told once my shorts were too short by some rando driving in a car. Nice shorts! And now they're coming back. Now even straight people are wearing short shorts. So I'm like, yay. We're trailblazers. We're trailblazers. They make fun of us, and then they start copying us when they're sick of making fun of us.
Definitely. I guess my next question that I have is kind of rolling it back a little again. What do you think is the most important message you would want, or no, that's wrong. What would you say as a piece of advice? I know, like Noah mentioned, he's a playwright. We're both students at IC. What's the biggest piece of advice you would give to young creators as they're starting out?
Okay. Gosh. Have a support system. Network is hell. Network, and believe in yourself, I think, is the most important thing. Like, like you said, you write for you. Keep doing that, because that's you. That finding your own voice and using it will be more rewarding. It just will. It's not always going to be easy. It just isn't. But I think it's important, I guess, to. Sorry, guys.
Technical difficulties.
My earbuds fell out. Okay. Yeah, just be true to yourself and get some headphones, because these fuckers just pop right out.
Definitely, like piggybacking off of what you said, like creating for yourself is definitely the biggest thing. Don't create for like what you think other people want, because that it feel like what you create feels disingenuous that way. If you are creating for yourself and doing something you're passionate about, people can feel that in what you make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think my advice too, which is something I've been quickly picking up on for myself with my writing, is to also just be bold with it, and to not hold back. Like, be unapologetically yourself and unapologetically queer and and just say, like, literally, fuck it. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'm writing what I want to write, and I'm gonna write this the way I need to write this, and to say it how it needs to be said, and not worry about having to. Because as soon as you feel like you're holding yourself back in your work, then I feel like you're limiting the possibilities of what is to come and what can happen. And you just got to be unapologetically just out there. Just be,
I think people appreciate that too in works that they consume.
People will gravitate to it. I think if you can tell when something's being dishonest in the work. I really like, no matter what you're reading it. If somebody's not being the full truest self, there's something about it. Just I don't know.
I was talking to.
Oh, you yeah.
I wanted to just jump in. Like, I was talking with my partner a couple days ago about the movie In and Out, and he's like, "Why do you hate that movie so much?" And I'm like, "Because it's not true. It's fake. It's like there is not an honest moment in that entire movie, for me anyway." And it's because it's a bunch of. They're all straight people writing a gay story for straight people. And, so it's like at the end, when the whole town comes together and they all say, "I'm gay," to support our gay friend. I'm like, give me a break. Mm-hmm. In what universe would that ever happen? You know what I'm saying? So to me, that kind of stuff, it's like, it's kind of insulting, because it's a lie, but it's packaged in this funny, beautiful, wonderful, fun for the whole family movie that we can all get together and appreciate gay people, and then call that guy on the street a fag because his shorts are too short. You know what I'm saying? So authenticity, I think, is very important, but it doesn't, like, I don't know how much money In-N-Out made. So I'm sure none of those people give a shit about my opinion about In-N-Out. But it's just like, that is like the dilemma of mine anyway. Working in Hollywood in the always trying to like get my point of view in, but also, make a living. It's not always easy to do that. So like I said, you have to have your own stuff that is yours. So don't compromise on that. Like, I'm working on a couple of pilots for, a couple shows. It's like, that's not me. You know what I'm saying? It's art. But it's like, it's my job. It's what you know what I'm saying? So go ahead. No, please.
Sorry. I was just going to say, along kind of those same lines, when we were deciding like to pitch Moonstruck as a series, we were looking at a bunch of different publishers and deciding like what would be the best fit. And one of the main things we wanted is like, we don't want like any of like the characters are lesbians. We do not want that to be erased. Like, we want that to stay. Like, we wanted to find a publisher that understood that and didn't want to water down the story we were trying to make. I think in terms of like trying to put your work out there, you need to find those like people with kind of your same sensibilities. Like they don't want to water something down just to make some more money or to make the audience bigger or something like that. Like, the story is the story.
I think like
Sorry, that doesn't totally make sense.
The last pitch meeting I had with the Troy thing is like, every single time I would go to one of these pitch meetings, they would be like, well, we have to make some of these characters straight. And it's just, it's like, come on, what's wrong with you? We have to do it. I'm like, well, then who's going to watch this? It's like, you've just pissed off the people who watch this. Like,
right.
What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense.
It's also just not realistic. I maybe know 3 straight people in my life. Like, we're all always together. Like, we all hang out.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. And like, maybe it's true for me too. Like, my friends, I guess this is about my group, my friend group. We just don't have straight guys we hang out with. We just don't. I'm sorry. I don't know how to write that. I don't. It's like I'm making my brother. But that's what I said. I was like, okay, well, this is gay. These characters are all gay. So why don't we come up with something else? And they're like, well, we wanted this because this has an audience. I'm like, but you just pissed the audience off. So what else? So what are we gonna do now? What's the new idea? What's next?
Yeah, and again, that speaks to like your authentic experiences that you have that you want to write about. Is like, that's not what we like. That's not what this audience wants. Like, this is our thing. Like,
exactly.
This is what we own and know. And and you're bringing up trying to be an actor like in the 90s as a gay man, and that's like versus what we see now in casting and the uproar of straight people playing gay roles. Like, I'm just imagining if they're making Brokeback Mountain now, like, who would they cast for that film? Yeah, a
couple of straight actors. We're still not there. I'm sorry. I don't mean to throw cold water. But no, it's not there. They're still not there. They're still like, they're still like, you say, I think just a couple days ago I read that someone on The Simpsons got, like, Hank Azaria, one of his gay characters, got recast with an actual gay actor, and people are like, what's a big deal? Where is that? And I'm like, because I am not allowed to get my foot in the door because I'm not straight. So then in like 10 years from now, I'm not a movie star. So we need a gay actor. We need a movie star. Well, there aren't any gay movie stars because we won't let them in the door. See what I'm saying? It's a vicious cycle. And if you don't make it a rule, it will always become the exception.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, is that rigid and is that unfair? And actors should be able to play any role, yada, yada, yada. It's not about that. It's about the opportunity. It's about like letting someone in the door. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yes,
Oh.
definitely.
So that's why it's important. It's not that a straight man cannot do a good job playing a gay character. It happens all the time. What I'm saying is not fair because they won't even let the gay guy audition, or they will, but they're like, And I got to tell you, like, a lot of these casting directors and directors are gay, and they're the worst because they can they'll see like a little, maybe a little gay thing, a little feminine thing, and they don't. It's like an internalized homophobia thing. And maybe that's crazy, and maybe I'm just like making it up, but it's a theory.
Yeah,
because
I think
because the guy who told me to get a girlfriend was a huge. He's like. I mean, he's like a fluffy gay. Oh, honey. Oh, and I'm like, coming from him, that was just sort of like, you're the problem. You are perpetuating the problem, and you're gay. What is going on?
And it's the people that have the ability to open the door for you that won't let you in.
Exactly. Because, well, I stayed in the closet. Why can't you? Honey, you did not.
Right. It's like we can make things better for the generation coming in. Like, you don't have to suffer the same way.
No, well, my person wanted me to suffer the same way. And I'm like, no. Well, actually, I tried to, but I was already out. So. It wasn't that I didn't try to sell out. I did, believe me. Well, for 5 seconds, honestly, it did last that long.
you brought up making it on screen, but like you kind of had your opportunity because Troy became animated for
Well, I did that myself.
that bit. Oh, okay.
I got sick of waiting. Right before the crash in 2007, I had a director, I had a producer, I wrote the script. I wrote it 3 times, and it was fabulous. And my agent said, it was, quote, beyond brilliant. Okay. And we were all ready to go, and I had a couple meetings, and then the economy crashed, and all the investors pulled out, and that was that. And it's like, it's hard to get, it's hard to put something like that back together again. Just, it's like, oh well, it's the economy, So I got sick of waiting for producers and directors and actors and yada yada yada, and I'm like, I do this for a living. I have all the equipment right here. So I just started doing it myself. I already had the script for a movie. So what I did is I just took it and cut it down to like 20 minutes. And I figured, okay, it'll be a pilot. And I did it. Like I said, I know actors, I know people, and they're all just like, oh yeah, we'll do it. We love it, yay! So we had a great old time. We put on a show, woo! And I put it out there, and I got into a bunch of film festivals and stuff. And I really hoped like somebody would see it and like, oh, now we get it. Now we'll make this a series. But that didn't happen. Mostly because I'm not an agent and I don't know how to package shit. So I'm like, I didn't have anybody pushing it for me, and I got busy doing other stuff. So I keep thinking, all right, well, I'm gonna put together a pitch deck now that I know how to do it. Pitch this again, but I'm like, it's always something else coming along. So it's good to. I feel like it's good to constantly have something to aspire to. Even if you don't always, if you don't get the movie made, okay, well, you do the feature, and then or you do the short, and then you go do something else. So keep moving.
I feel like that's why I tend to gravitate towards like indie content, like indie comics and just zines and everything like that. But at the same time, like, your audience, like you're within your own group in that way. And wanting to make something that's bigger, like a movie, like to get it out to bigger audiences and not just, you know, your same insular group. Like it's tough to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of us, we just have to do it ourselves, I think.
Yeah.
That
And it's tough to be a creative and promote yourself too.
Oh my
Like,
God.
it's its own separate job.
Oh, it's painful.
Tough.
Like, I'm the best and I'm brilliant and are you really?
Are you really? And there's not enough time in the world to just do it all.
Right. Well, yeah, like what you said, I don't have enough time in the day to do everything myself. And it's, you know, sometimes like to do a big project, you need a big group of people. And I think that's why it's hard to do like gay content for gay people, because it does require, you know, like movies and TV. You know, not everything. Like writing a comic, I can do that myself. But like, you know, for like big things, it's like it is harder to get, you know, for any minority group to get something specifically for us out, because the major, you know, the mainstream, it just, I feel, doesn't like to be reminded that they're the majority.
Yeah,
it makes them uncomfortable.
There's not an audience for it ever.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Like, do you think we don't consume media? Like,
exactly. Yes. Well, there's not enough people. If I put a gay character in there, then I can't sell it to China. Oh, okay. Well, don't sell it to China. Well, they have, you know, I can't solve that problem.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I think the other. Oh,
I'm just going to keep creating gay stuff, and if I find a way to put it out there, I will.
Yeah, and I think another difficult part of like getting into the mainstream is, you know, within our groups, there's so many more like character archetypes that haven't been explored because we haven't been accepted into like the mainstream media, and therefore it's just like this terrible lag. And it's like, how do we get there? How do we explain ourselves to the masses in a way that they would be able to digest every aspect of our stories and lives? And like, I think, yeah, that's like another challenge that I see.
I don't think you oh gosh, I don't think you like to, well, there's compromise, you know, in your story, and you know, like just creative compromise. You know, and when you're creating in a group, there's always going to be compromise. It's like compromise without becoming compromised, and I think that's the challenge. And you know, it's like I struggle with that every day, still do. Like the struggle between, you know, the kind of stuff that I want to do and making a living. And it's like, I really wish that, you know, I could find a way to do, you know, but like I said, this is not a huge seller. It's just, you know, it's boys in their underwear. I like it. But like I said, like,
you don't say, I guess, you know. Speaking of though, like I said, I really want that link for that shirt. I'm like, I'm gonna.
okay, right on.
I need my own version.
Okay, well, I have got hundreds of these. I think it's I've been doing like just goofy stuff for them for a couple of years, just because like I saw them online. I was like, oh, pop art on a T-shirt. I was like, hey, I do pop art. You want to put my stuff on a T-shirt? And they're like, oh my God, we love it. Put yourself out there. You asked. Like I said, I'm like, I saw a market. I didn't know it was there. I was like, okay, hello, would you like me to draw you some sexy boys in their underwear to put in your T-shirts? Yes. So, you know, just find. I mean, like, you know, like, how do you find stuff? I don't know. You just do. Just keep.
That's why it's tough to be like, there's not an audience. Like the audience will find it. Like there is an audience. They're just starved. Like they don't have it. If you put it out there, like people are going to gravitate toward it. Yeah, the audience is there. It's the people telling you the audience isn't there.
But how much audience? I think actually it's mostly about like how much money does that audience have. And
Yeah.
I think that's why, you know, we have like so much. We have huge like Netflix. There's a bazillion things on Netflix, and then you just flip through for an hour, and you're like, I can't find anything. How does that happen?
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I think also, I feel like there is this like, luckily this like newer trend of like everyone trying to find things that like really do appeal to them at the personal level. And now there's just so many different mediums, and that like, you know, I can find a comic like Troy, or I can find a comic like Moonstruck. And there's so many things in between now. It's great for everyone, but now there's a lot of stuff out there, like, you know, I mentioned Netflix now, like in every industry, but people are still finding, you know, their things, which is great. So I guess speaking of which, because over the past, well, we've been dealing with COVID-19 now, I guess, for over a year now. Have you found any benefits from that, you know, in terms of connecting with other people, you know, in the digital sense, and kind of how has that changed the way that you work at all?
It's been tough. From my own experience, like a lot of what I do is sitting at home all day already. Like I'm just constantly working. And when conventions, thing of the past, like when you went to a convention, you got to meet the fans of your thing. And it's like, oh, wow, people actually read what I make. And people are actually finding this and enjoying it. And it boosts your motivation in that way to be like, wow, I'm not just doing this for me. Like there are people out there who enjoy this too. So it's been tough not having that, because it's different online, because everything's just a bit more anonymous that way. You're not meeting these people in person. So in ways, it's kind of a hit to motivation, but just got to find other ways to get that.
For me, like you said, it hasn't changed a whole lot, just because I have been working from home for 10 years, 15
right.
years. You know, so it's just sort of like, I'm lucky that I have a big place, but still, it's like it's claustrophobic. It gets lonely. But I think for me, it's been oh gosh, like just being locked in this place, not being able to go anywhere. My output, I can't go out to bars. I can't go meet people. So I, like a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting in front of my computer working on some drawing until like, I don't know, 3 a.m. on a Friday night. Like that's what COVID has done for me. So I guess it's a good thing, but yeah, I really do miss that. Being there.
Yeah, it's harder to give yourself breaks too, like that. You feel like you're home, and home is also your workplace, so you feel like you constantly have to be working almost.
Yeah,
it's a weird feeling.
The on-off times, I mean, like I find like my dogs help with that, because it's like, okay, somebody said like dogs can't tell time, and I'm like, bullshit. Like my dogs know when it's time to eat. They just do.
Oh yeah. My dog will throw a fit until I go to bed. He's like, it is time. It's time to go.
Oh yeah.
Shut the computer. Like, it's time to go.
Oh, they've been in their crates for an hour.
So do you think that also will you be incorporating like this past year's events into your future works at all, either of you, like addressing like this whole isolation type thing?
I kind of did a couple times.
It's possible. I feel like yeah. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
I'm looking for the right page. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like I've got to find the time to do more personal comic work, but I feel like it's definitely a good way to work through like some of those more difficult feelings, like of loneliness and of isolation, like just putting it into words and images. Like it helps a lot, working through your own emotions that way. I feel like could probably make something like that. Maybe not like put it into a book or put it online or something like that. maybe someday, but I definitely have done that before, like working through difficult emotions by making things then that way.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I could interject real quick.
COVID haircut. My partner tried to give me a haircut, so that became
yeah, I definitely had a similar experience to that there during the pandemic.
My hair looks ridiculous, but it's like
I've just been letting it grow. I haven't gotten it cut in forever.
Yeah, no, I put stuff in there. Like I have a couple other things that are like for some COVID. I did a guy with a mask on with a teddy bear. You know, quarantine love with a big giant teddy bear.
If I could,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to give a quick heads up. One is that we'll be signing off in roughly 7 minutes because we'll be the panel will be over at 5. And the other thing is that Ed in the Q&A has asked, will you modify your work habits after COVID is over, or will you keep doing the things you are doing now?
I'm gonna probably try to keep doing what I'm doing now. I will add a social life again, but as far as my work habits, I don't think those will change.
I feel like early on in lockdown days, I missed like being able to. My setup is pretty mobile, so I could pack it up and like go to a cafe or something and work there. But I've since like worked on my desk game. Like I got a bigger desk and got everything cleaned up and organized, and now I've got like a really good system here. So I feel like I'd be working at home just more often in that way, but you know, like giving myself breaks sometimes, changing surroundings and stuff. Looking forward to that.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to adding my social life back to my work life.
Oh, definitely. My social life is entirely online now, and I miss going out to do something.
I'll stay busy no matter what.
Oh yeah.
COVID hit, I didn't get any less busy. I got a job after once COVID hit. Like,
oh wow.
No, it doesn't end.
Just a quick interjection. I have just been informed from upstairs that even though the panel officially ends at 5, you are welcome to keep going if you'd like. No reason it officially has to end at 5.
Oh,
okay, cool. Yeah, I guess kind of based off like workflow and like talking about that process, how often do you, and I know we were talking about like, you know, just authentically writing and creating, but how often do you also like edit back? Do you ever like, how often do you edit back what you do? Or like take a moment to kind of, do you ever like second guess to a point, or yeah, that makes sense.
I try to keep that to a minimum because I feel like if I start doing that, I will never stop. Like I've got like friends who do web comics. They'll constantly want to keep going back to their older chapters and redrawing them, and because they feel like their work has gotten better since then. But you'll never move forward that way. Like you've got to stick to what you did and like let people see how you improved. Like nobody's work is going to be perfect 100% of the time. Like I find it like as a reader of other comics and other media, like I like to see the progression of somebody getting better and fine tuning what they want to make. I like that personally, so I try to keep my own work kind of that way, not keep rewriting my own thing.
Yeah, as an artist, it's the hardest step, I think, is getting that first bit out. And I mean, I always see a lot of my friends and other people struggle, and even myself, like it's getting to the end and, you know, not, yeah, there's that will and that urge to like, oh, I want to go back to the beginning and just fix that and just get this little bit. And like,
yeah.
But if you always are doing that, then you never, exactly what you're saying, Jay, you never get to the end. You never see it all in its completion. And then, you know, once it's complete, go back and do whatever you want. Like, but if it's not complete, then it's not complete, and you're never going to get complete because then you're always going back and you got.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use that as your motto in life. Just keep going forward. You can fix the things in the past one day, but like just keep going.
Yeah, I edit, as I'm like, I'll like for a joke or like, comic strip, I will rewrite the dialogue 100 million times until it sounds just absolutely perfect and it fits in that little box. See, that's the double problem. It's like I can write something that is amazing and it doesn't fit, and you're like, shit, okay. So you have to rewrite it. And it has to, so I edit, yeah, sure, but once it's done and it's off to the paper, whatever, it's done, and then I'm like, 3 weeks later, I'm like, oh, you'll see an error somewhere in it, and sometimes I'm just sort of like, oh well, that's just me leaving a mistake in there purposely. That's my art, because there's always a mistake in it. There just is. I try to catch it all, but like I said, there's always something that gets by, and it's like, oh well, I'll do better next time.
Yeah, I think Shay. I was gonna say Shay.
People say like, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Like how some people say like, if it's too perfect, then it kind of loses something. You know what I'm saying? Like if you overwork something, you take the lightness out of it. So yeah, edit, but not too much. Not so much that you kill it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I kind of agree with Shay in bringing up. I'm also plugging my laptop as I speak, just to be transparent. But I definitely agree. Like I'm also thinking of also enjoying watching artists that I'm a fan of kind of improve over time as I like follow their works, or you also realize maybe like they're also owning up to some of their style, like as an artist too, which is really cool to like witness as a fan. And also just like how often does a remake of a movie go as well as like the original, like yeah. So just like another thought I had.
Well, like I'm just like what you said, like if I like look at like the first couple of stuff, like these cartoons like I did in like 1998, I mean like, and this is how they look now, because now there's vector lines, you know what I'm saying? So I got better tools because I'm like, I thought my line work was bad, so I started doing like my line work in Illustrator and it got perfect, and now I'm going back to just drawing the lines by hand because I'm bored with the perfection, and now I kind of want something to look a little, and that to me is right now kind of like the hard part, where it's just like, I know I can make this perfect, but I'm like, it would be better if it wasn't. So you know what I'm saying? Like that whole, like some of my stuff now, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make it real messy, and the lines, like a couple of my recent things, I'm like, I got a new brush, and it's like it has spatters and this and that and the other thing, and I love it, but it's like it's messy now. I'm like,
I've struggled with that.
Weird, because now it's not perfect, but I'm like, you don't want it to be perfect because it's, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's hard. It just is. You're like, oh,
I've always been jealous of artists that could make something like sketchy and messy and still have it look like really nice, because geez, I'll overwork everything, line work especially, just like it's got to be perfect, but at the same time I'm admiring other work.
People can tell you're a terrible artist.
Right. It's definitely like
through you.
I've been faking it this whole time.
Terrible. Only the lines were perfect, I would say.
Awesome.
Well, the time we are.
It's the time.
Yeah. We are at the top of the hour, I guess now. So it is totally up to, I guess, you all here if you wanna stay and chat longer at all, or totally.
If you guys got more questions?
Yeah, definitely. Just to reiterate for the attendees, we do have a Q&A, so feel free to submit any questions there. I don't believe I have any more questions as of right now. I don't know about you, Noah. or
Yeah,
Patrick.
I'm gonna assume Patrick's also set. I'm set too, I think.
Alrighty.
All right, so I think we'll call it a wrap on this panel for ITHACON 45. Thank you all for coming out. I definitely appreciate it, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure.
Have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Thank you for coming.